All right. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm so excited to show you this car, and this right here is the 2017 Miata. But before that, welcome back to Independent Auto, offering you independent reviews, independent from bias. And today, as mentioned, we're talking about the 4th generation Miata. This is the 2017 model. If you notice, it's a soft top convertible, and this car is a Roadster. But now the similarities between a Roadster and a Hamster is they're both on wheels. But that does not matter, because there's no connection. I just wanted to say that. This car right here, as I mentioned, is the 4th generation. The 1st generation came in the 80s, which had a really interesting style. You look at the headlights, they pop up. They're like little Mickey Mouse ears, you know, which is very interesting. It was unique for its time. This one I feel like is the sleekest looking one as the 4th generation, and the 2nd and the 3rd generation had some sort of similarities when it comes to design. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna dive into this car. I'm so excited because we're finally gonna do a 2-door and we're not doing basic cars. So welcome to Independent Auto, guys. Let's go.
Pulling up in that spaceship, yeah. My name like the Rangers, I write it in stone. Shine on my nigga, he right or he wrong. Stars in the roof, it's the walls on their home. I swear this shit feel like Attack of the Clones. Father them niggas, I gave them they sound. It might've worked out if I wrote them they songs. One-on-one Kirby, I got this shit sewn. My fist in the air like the back of my comb. Over their head like a shot with a drone. Secures calls, putting money on phones. Mama asked me when I'm coming back home. I said I'll be down, a benefit to you that had me around. This rap shit got slow when it got me a pound. At Tokyo grown, TMZ socio, why they so nosy though? These niggas lying, I call them Pinocchio, ayy. You know this ain't my first rodeo. He caught 2 shots, I call that shit a dopio. My niggas poppin', so don't try to okey doke. They with the 6, they ain't no opio. I'm on the 5 getting peso with Corey Mo. Yeah, you know my story though.
All right, now taking a look at the front of this MX-5, you can see it's a big difference from the 3rd and 2nd generation, especially from the 1st generation. It's so much more angular. I love how interesting these LED lights are. The way they're placed and the way they're angled with some crescent style designs over here that shape some sort of like a vortex for aerodynamics. The hood seems rather large considering the car is a small car. But the nice thing also about it is how the grills have been integrated with the bottom part of this car and how the fog lamps are running, or well, could be the daylight running lights in this case. Usually that's where the fog lamps are placed. But now guys, it takes a lot of effort for us to make these videos, so we have our first merch ever. Check out these custom-made plate numbers. They really help with aerodynamics because they're paper thin. 2 for $40 and 4 for $30. You choose, guys. Link somewhere there. We'd appreciate it. All right, let's talk about the side of this car. You know what's really interesting about the side of this car? It's the exact same looking as the other side of this car. So that's nice to know. So these rims right here are 17-inch rims. Okay, now of course these are not the stock rims, these are customized rims, but the stock rims have a Mazda logo in the center and it's very angular and nice to look at. However, these two braking systems are disc brakes, so they have disc brake configurations while it's a rear wheel drive, so that makes much sense. Now it's nice to see this area over here to have that black finish because it adds a nice contrast of texture from the driver's perspective to the vehicle's perspective of the body specifically. So now we're gonna get into the engine and see how this car works.
Oh, there it is. There's a stick.
Huh? This one got an intake, oh look at that. Okay, now we're gonna be talking about the engine. This car is fantastic when it comes to engine reliability over a span of time. I mean, this car has so much heritage and history when it comes to Roadsters. I mean, these engines and the car itself has heritage reached back to the British automobiles because they got their inspiration for the cars from British Roadsters. Now we look at this engine. This one specifically is an inline 4, so you know it's 4 because you can count the valves over here. Now, when it comes to horsepower, this has 155 horsepower and 148 pound-feet of torque, which I think is decent for the size of this car. There's another variant of this car called the RF, and the RF is a hard top convertible while this one is a soft top convertible. And as it being a soft top, meaning that it's a bit lighter, so that means it's slightly faster than the RF in terms of weight to power ratio. Now let's talk about the rear. The rear is nice. It's straight to the point, but the nice thing about it is this little tail light design over here as it extends. It's not just one circle. It has this kind of teardrop look, which I think looks really, really fancy. Of course, you've got the chrome MX-5 badge. Now, this MX-5 is known as the MX-5 Miata, but nowadays they don't really put the Miata logo here. Mazda has chosen to stick with the MX-5 logo, but if you go on their online site, you will see MX-5 Miata. It's just their foundational name that they had for the vehicle. And over here you see Skyactiv technology. And the nice thing is the trunk, which is not a nice thing actually because it's really small. So you have this button over here in the key that can open the trunk by holding it. And there's that popping sound. So you open it up, and this is your trunk space. Now I like how the trunk opens because these hydraulics kind of come in and just push it to the side, which is a really nice touch. Now, with regards to trunk space, yeah. There's another way to open the trunk though, and that's through a button, but where is the button? And I like this little buttons that are in hidden places. Just like the Peugeot 508. When you look at the 508 logo itself has a button in the center. But this one has a button down here. And I remember when I was driving and there was a security checkpoint and they asked me to open the trunk, and I didn't know how to open the trunk aside from this knob to get out of the car, close the engine, and press this button. But little did I know when I watched some reviews, there's a button here that opens the trunk. And it's a tiny little rubber button that does the same job. Alrighty, now time to get into the interior of this car. It is a little bit hard. I'm 6 foot and it's a bit tight. But as you settle in, you kind of feel your dynamic, you find your seating arrangement, and it's pretty good. Now, the nice thing I want to talk about this is it's a convertible. And compared to other Roadsters out there who are not convertibles, I really like this because it gives this cool factor. So it's simple to open this. You basically put this lever down and pull it down. So it unlocks this whole area. You push it up and you push it backwards and it just locks. Like that, easy. So while you're driving, it's easy for you to adjust in case it suddenly rains and you were top down, you can adjust it. Compared to the RF variant where you can't do that because you have to be driving at a certain speed and then you have to adjust the knob. So imagine you're on the highway and you need to adjust. That means you have to go to the side of the road, which this has its pros and cons to it as well, because insulation of heat with this one is not as good compared to the other one because the sun is literally going through the soft top convertible, which makes it a little hotter inside the car. Now let's talk about the quirks and features of this vehicle, specifically the interior, which I find really cool is how simple the gauge cluster is. And I like how there's an LED on the left side for a digital display that gives you information on the car, on your mileage, your range, your gas consumption, and all that kind of stuff over there. The air conditioning over here is very good. It's got an auto mode, which basically will gauge temperature around and adjust the aircon accordingly over there. When it comes to sound system over here, I think that these Bose sound systems have great value and it encompasses the car very well. It really creates this nice reverberation and bass that comes from it. So it's a very rich sound that's accompanied by this infotainment system, which is straight to the point. It's nothing fancy, but you can control it from the knob over here, and you have your music, your different maps also, and you also have a CD compartment, which is back here, which probably no one uses, which also is it's a good way to save on space because there's no place to place a CD over here or it will look rather awkward. But this car sadly doesn't have much compartments. It just has these small compartments on the side, and it has this compartment over here that you can put items in as well. But it's not a practical car. It's something you want to just have fun with. You can go to the grocery, you put your stuff in the back, and it's easy, ready to go. Now, when we talk about the side buttons over here, sadly, they don't have automatic windows. So just put it up, it goes up like that, and put it down. It goes down automatically. But it's weird that it doesn't go up automatically, only down. Oh my gosh. Wow, it is hot.
You can do it.
So now let's talk about the shifter over here. It's nice that you have to press the button on top. It gives that nice sporty feel, and you just bring it down. It goes to reverse and neutral, drive, and it has a little manual shifter as well. Also, it has a shifter here on the side of the steering wheel as well. And it has different modes. It has sport and the regular mode, which I don't think has a big difference when it comes to drive experience, but we'll get to that later on. Now for the aircon, as also mentioned a while ago, it has 4 vents, but it has this little tiny vent over here, which is not circular, which I think they tried to do to make it look like a much sleeker design, which I think looks a little awkward because these vents over here look like aeronautical pilot vents, which are really nice in design, and it's easy to adjust. You just twist the knob to adjust the different modes and all that of the air conditioning. And it also has the auto function, which is very easy to use, and it's cold. It's nice. And considering you're in top down, it's cool enough even if the sun is hitting you directly. So I think that's a nice addition and touch to that as well. Here we are, finally. We're gonna test this Roadster out, and I'm so excited. This is the journey. I mean, we've gotten to know about the car. We got to know more about different aspects, little features here and there, what the engine does and all that. And here we are, we're gonna take it for a drive, so let's go. So put it on drive and we're gonna go. Alrighty, I'm so excited. This car is so compact. That's the first thing I feel. Now as I'm moving, it's smooth. It's very nice to drive. But the thing about it is, as you're moving the steering wheel, it is so nice on the turns. I mean, I can really feel very little body roll. So let's say I'm gonna overtake this guy with ease. No problem. And this 2-liter engine does a really good job. The engine sounds rather nice, even if this has a slight intake. I've tried the stock engine out, and it sounds lovely. It's got this nice roar to it. And as I mentioned, the size to body ratio of this car is just on point, I would say. So I'm going on a hump. And what's nice about the suspension, it seems a little stiff, but it does not contribute to a harsh suspension when you're riding on the roads. It does not feel rough on the roads, which is something I really like. And this is the moment, of course, you all are waiting for, the nice little floor test. And I'm so excited. Let's go. Okay, so I'm going to sport mode, and I'm in this tunnel. So I'm gonna floor it any moment now. Here we go, guys. You saw the camera fall, clearly. Oh my goodness. Sounds so good. It has such good pickup. It's not quick in any way, but it is fun to drive. Let me elaborate. It's not fast anyway, but it's quick and fun to drive, especially in the corners. As I'm cornering through the left and right, I really felt myself planted. Like the camera wasn't planted, it clearly fell off. But that's just proof that we did go for a ride right there. Oh my gosh, this car, for the price range, it's really fun. So this car goes from anywhere between 2 to 2.2 million pesos. And gas mileage wise, of course, it depends on how well you use it. If you're driving fast like the way we just did, of course gas won't be that good, but the average mileage you're getting for this one is around 7 to 10 kilometers per liter. And I suggest you put the best possible gas, probably 97 octane, even if this can tolerate 91 octane, just to maintain the pristine condition of this vehicle as well. What I liked about it is, as I was flooring the car, the brakes too were really on point. And even if I'm in this interior and everything is open, I can still hear myself speak in this incubed area. So it still feels like I have my own zone, if I may say. So buddy, could you hold the camera? We're gonna let's go turn and feel the maneuver. So we're actually going to a really sharp left turn, and I'm traveling at 80 kilometers per hour. My body is not moving. See, our bodies are just in place. It's got such good maneuverability and handling, which is something I really like about this car. Oh man, definitely worth it. I mean, compared to other Roadsters in the market, I would say the reason why I choose this one is because it's a convertible and it has that nice cool factor that I mentioned a while ago. And something I failed to mention a while ago are the cup holders, by the way. They're horrible. Let's not even talk about it. That's why I forgot to mention it. But all in all, guys, thank you so much for watching, and it's a huge help if you like and subscribe this video, as it takes time to make it, and we really appreciate all the support. And time for the casual review. the civilian review. And no, I'm not hijacking anyone this time, please. But before that, once again, our watch checked. I'm wearing a Seiko Aviation watch, which this car is a Japanese car. So Seiko is a Japanese movement and Japanese watch brand as well, that's built with reliability and toughness. And I thought this aviation watch would match the vibe of this car because of the aviation type of style of dials here and there, where you look at the aircon vents, you look at the gauge cluster movements and adjustabilities and all that. So definitely a good collab between those two watch brands. A watch brand and the car brand as well. So yeah, that's it. Let's go on to the civilian review now.
Alright, I actually didn't get hostage this time, but you know, I'm just happy to be here. You know, this is my first time driving a Miata, and honestly, like, of course I had to wear the shades to match the vibe. You know, gotta pay respect to you gotta pay homage to the fact that the Miata is also known as the hairdresser's car, so you gotta come out in style, right? So right now, this is my first time in a Miata. I probably mentioned it already, but so far, first impressions, wow, it's so nimble. It's the quintessential pocket rocket, that's what I can call it as. And honestly, braking, wow, so on point. There's just so much, you know, there's so much wow to this car. It's absolutely insane. And you know, compared to like most cars I've driven, this is the most nimble one by far because of its weight, its size. See, even on corners, really aggressive corners, it's so much fun. It's hard not to put the pedal all the way to the floor and just, you know, flat it out, you know. And to quote the great Colin McRae, when in doubt, flat out. And for me, there are no doubts that this car is absolutely amazing, worth the money. Every single bit, every single peso you put in this car, absolutely worth it. Now, space wise, you look at the Miata and you think, wow, it's such a tiny car. And to be honest with you, it feels pretty cramped, especially if you're like Samir over here, who's 6'1", and obviously, you know, big dude, big beefy dude, and like, you know, it's hard for him to fit. But for me, it's actually pretty friendly for me, even though I'm a beefy dude myself. You know, I'm kind of pretty much the average height Filipino, and like, all I can say is, like, if you want really good spirited driving, this is such a great car, even if you're a bigger build dude. Okay, what I can say, okay, now let's move on to handling. So handling, obviously, as evidenced by, you know, a minute ago, I really went ham on that corn, you know, that rotunda, and it just stays in place. You don't worry about anything giving out in the back. And to think that this is a relatively stock car, minus the intake and the wheels, I mean, probably you have a wider, you know, a wider set of wheels, but still, it just makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And yeah, really, in terms of creature comforts, okay, let's admit it. Samir said it first, I'm gonna say it again. Cup holders, terrible. If you're out to go get drinks, absolutely terrible. It's not even a cup holder. It's just, you know, it's just there, and you can't really do anything. But everything else, even like, let's say the Bose sound system, like, you know, it's all I can say is great. Honestly, this car is leaving me really speechless. And if you're, you know, you're moving from regular, you know, let's put it frankly, boring commuter cars, this is like an entirely different world of its own. I mean, you have other roadsters on the market that are great too, but honestly, bang for buck, and you know, bang for buck, this car is really where it's at. Now, in terms of driving it, so far I've had so much joy driving it because it feels unrestricted. Your weight, your steering, everything feels so on point. And the thing is, the car is planted. You don't have to worry about fishtailing. You know, you don't have to worry about the brakes not having enough bite, because even on a stock package from the factory, minus the wheels of course, everything feels on point, and you have that, you know, that sense of Japanese excellence, of course. And so now we're gonna go push it a little bit, but we can't really push it. Yeah, we're gonna go up to 60 because, you know, we don't want to get caught. And the throttle response. My God, the throttle response. It's just so, like, everything can go from cruising to fast with just a little bit more pressure on there. And it's really, it says a lot about Mazda's engineering and their testament to building the ultimate roadster. And whether you consider it as an entry point into spirited driving, or just something that you want to drive really hard almost every day to get here and there and have a little bit fun in between, this car is absolutely perfect for it. I have no qualms at all about this car, minus the cup holders and maybe the lack of a trunk. It's still a car that's hard to hate. Of course, you have your Miata lovers and Miata haters, but honestly, you take the biggest hater of any Miata, you put them here, it's probably enough to change their mind or maybe make them a little less hateful about it. But anyways, as you can see, oh yeah, I forgot to mention the top-down experience. So we're in smoggy Manila, but when you take the top down in the Miata and you drive all out, it negates everything that's around. You don't feel the smog because you're having too much fun. Yeah, you're too focused on really just maximizing the road and making sure that everything's just getting used right, and you don't really have to worry about anything else. But I won't be able to say that for the long term, probably, because eventually you kind of pick up that, hey, we're still in Manila, and a top down isn't always the best thing, especially if you're probably driving through Tondo. But it's still great. Nothing beats it. It's still absolutely great. Anyways, that's it for now. We're about to head into a bit of traffic, and maybe I'm going to change my opinion about whether it's so great to have the top down or not. So anyways, we'll catch you in the next review before Samir hostages me again.
No chance.
No chance, alright.
We're friends now.
Yeah, we're friends now. I've made friends with my hostage taker. I've got a bit of Stockholm syndrome, but it's great. Anyways, we'll catch you in the next one.